Hey guys, welcome to another weekly watching video. I'm sorry that I haven't done one of these lately, but understand that I do have a personal life and it's been a bit chaotic lately, so anyways, I have seen way more than 10 films since the last video, so I am going to talk about some of the recent ones I saw and some of the ones that just really stood out. So, let's begin. Paul. This is quite a funny movie. But what really amused me about it was how potentially offensive it is. The most notable attack being on religion. I absolutely love that. It doesn't just imply that the film is atheistic, it shouts out that religion is totally false, and then goes on to make jokes about it. I have to say that it was a pretty gutsy move by the screenwriters to write in such an opinionated way. Outside of that, it really pokes fun at the science fiction genre, and has good humour. Simon Pegg and Nick Frost are also quite good, and the CGI alien Paul is very likeable as well. There isn't too much that can be said about this, it's just a good, funny road movie, and that's all there is to it. I think the only problem is that it's a little bit juvenile, but other than that, this is a pretty good movie. Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I had heard mixed responses to this. On one side I've heard it was a great reboot / prequel, and on the other side, I heard that it was very overhyped. Where do I stand on that, you ask? Kinda in the middle. It works very well as an action film, but it requires an enormously large amount of suspension of disbelief. Seriously, I mean, many aspects of this movie are just flat out ludicrous. But what more can you expect from a film about monkeys taking over the world? I wasn't a huge fan of the ending, but the CGI is excellent, and I also thought that James Franco's performance was very strong. Overall, it's not as good as the original Planet of the Apes from 1969, but nonetheless, I like this film quite a bit. Bridesmaids. I didn't expect too much from this, but it was hyped up and received a very positive critical response, so it caught my interest. After watching, I have to say that this is not by any means a fantastic movie, but it is very good. The jokes are very funny, although occasionally disgusting, and the characters are all very likeable too. I guess you just have to go in knowing that the general idea of this movie doesn't extend beyond the boundaries of a typical Hollywood rom-com, but this one has been done to an unusually higher standard, and for that reason, Bridesmaids gets a thumbs up from me. It's just a good, funny movie. Copland. I mainly saw this since a few of my friends on YouTube had been telling me it was a great movie, and what can I say? It's true. Outside of having a brilliant cast in the form of Sylvester Stallone, Harvey Keitel, Robert De Niro and Ray Liotta, it is a very compelling story about police corruption and one man's desire to hold up the law. I think that the two strongest performances come from Stallone and Liotta, but that isn't to say De Niro or Keitel were bad. Everyone was very good, and some of the characters, such as Keitel's, are flat out despicable. One problem I had though was that I think some of the character development needed to be built a bit more, in particular Liotta's character. But this film does a really good job at generally just making viewers have a good time. The Black Dahlia. I watched this film for the first time about 4 years ago, but I fell asleep since it was really late. But I rewatched it today, and I have to say that I really disagree with the backlash this film got. It has its fair share of pros and cons. For pros, it's very stylish, very well directed, features strong performances by Josh Hartnett, Scarlett Johansson, and Aaron Eckhart, and has an overall engaging mystery. The cons, however, are its convoluted narrative and lack of focus on the actual story of the murder of Elizabeth Short, who is infamously known as the Black Dahlia. For a film titled that, it really should go into more detail, rather than go around with a fictional story based loosely around the murder. This film does have a lot of problems, but I don't think it is a bad movie at all. I liked it quite a lot, and I'd say you should give it a chance. Just be aware that it does have its problems. But overall, I liked it. Patch Adams. What made me curious towards this was the Nostalgia Critic's very negative review of it, and I gotta say that I disagree with him. I will admit, the film does have some very obvious problems and some aspects of it simply don't make any sense at all. But as a story about a man who tries to heal people through the power of laughter and joy, this isn't all that bad. It isn't very faithful to the true story of Hunter Adams, but as a piece of fiction, I don't see what's hugely wrong with it. It is a bit emotionally forced, but it generally made me feel very positive, and that I think that if a film does that, it has at least succeeded somewhere. Plus, Robin Williams is awesome. Patch Adams is not a great film, but a good one, at least, in my eyes. Bridge to Terabithia. I read the novel of this movie back when I was in primary school, and I remember liking it. When I heard about this being adapted into a film, I wasn't particularly excited, but one day I decided to give it a go and maybe have a bit of a reconnection with my youth. Overall, I love this movie. While it does have its fair share of problems, I think that it provides a very positive message to kids, but has enough imagination and emotion involved to keep older viewers, like myself, fairly interested as well. I thought that the movie was also very sad, and that it was great to see a film show that kind of intense content to children. Generally, I really love this film. It takes you back to youth, kind of like films like E.T. and The Goonies, and it's one that I highly recommend not just for watching, but for purchasing on DVD. Pet Sematery. I saw this mainly because Movie Review Time 82 on YouTube, who unfortunately recently closed his account, said that this was one of his favourites, and man, am I glad that I saw this. The film is creepy, full of originality, and reinforces Stephen King's great reputation as a writer of novels. This film is about a cemetery where you can bury dead things and have them come back to life in a demonic form. I have to say that that is an amazing idea. The film also features some what I guess can be regarded as either ghosts or hallucinations, which I thought was a nice factor. I don't want to spoil a major part of the movie, but I will say that the film really does push boundaries that many other horror films don't even approach, especially the ones made nowadays. Pet Sematary is a fantastic movie. I bought it on DVD and I had a wonderful experience watching it. I now regard it as an all-time favorite horror movie. The Beaver. I'll provide some context of my viewing on this. Within the weeks around my viewing, I was in an extremely low mood due to some major changes in my life, and I thought that it would be a good idea to give this one a watch and see if it would cheer me up. And it did. And for anyone else who isn't feeling too good, I'd say this would be a great film to check out. Mel Gibson is really moving, but at the same time very awkward in his role. And Jodie Foster not only reinforces her great acting ability, but has shown considerable ability as a director as well, and I'd be happy to see her make more films in the future. I thought that the teenage subplot involving Jennifer Lawrence and the other male actor whose name I don't remember at the moment, I thought it was a bit uninteresting, and I wish they would have just focused on the adult characters more, but nonetheless, I can overlook these things I didn't like and find a very enlightening yet strange look at depression. About Schmidt. It has been several weeks since I saw this, so my memory may be a bit vague, but let it be known, this movie is fantastic. Jack Nicholson delivers what I think is one of his most moving performances ever, and that really says something when you look at his career. The film, like many of Alexander Payne's films, deals with themes of old age and disappointment. And while I think Sideways deals with the issues related to middle age better, this one focuses on the issues of retirement. The writing is fantastic, and it really makes you sympathize with Walter Schmidt, regardless if you are still young and don't really have first-hand experience with these problems. I just think that it's a really good thing that the drama relates to something awfully specific, yet can appeal to such a wide range of people. About Schmidt just rocks, and since then I bought the film on DVD, and it has been a fabulous addition to my collection. Anyways guys, that's my weekly watching video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you later.